Hey, Sparkies and Sparkles. Welcome to the Spark Podcast. I'm Victoria.
And I'm Sydney.
And welcome. We are your hosts for this week's episode. And we hope that training has been going well, that you've been keeping up with nutrition and your fitness and all your athletic goals since the last time we filmed and recorded. And so we're super happy that you are tuned in and listening to us. We really appreciate it. It literally means more than you know. So Sydney, did you want to maybe possibly share what happened this past week, especially Monday?
Yeah. First, I also wanted to say, Vicky was mentioning that, hope everyone's doing their training and all that. But I know that at McDonald's, the Big Mac chicken sandwich came out.
Oh.
And y'all better not have been doing it.
Oh my God.
Okay? I'm on it about you. I've been seeing lots of TikToks about it. Don't be eating it.
Oh, I did not even know that came out. Okay, so good to know. So
anyway.
Okay, guys, come on. Let's take care of our health. Okay, maybe try it once or twice, but really weaning off of fast food, I feel like would be a good idea.
You know what? We literally had boba tonight.
That's true.
Because literally the last couple times we filmed and whatever, we have boba. Because we like boba. And that's okay.
That's our tradition now.
But don't be falling into traps.
Yeah, every day, eating boba and bad stuff, so.
Anyway, so this week, on Monday, today is Friday, Monday, Vicky and I hit our PR distance. We hit 5.5 miles.
Yes.
Which doesn't sound like a lot. I feel like not like a lot of people, but I don't know. Those that are the marathon runners probably don't sound like a lot, but it was huge for us.
Yeah.
And, the one thing we were actually just talking about was that our goal that day was 5 miles, and we were feeling super motivated, and we both kept looking at each other and saying we got this.
Yep.
And we decided not to look at the distance for a while, but let's just keep running until we feel good, whatever. And finally, when we hit 5, because we were recording each mile, when we hit 5, we were like, wait a minute, what if we just kept going? Vicky came up with this little side route.
Yeah.
So we kept going, and when we finally made it back, looped back around, we hit 5.5. So it was really crazy.
Yeah.
Really hard, but we felt good. We felt accomplished. But we did notice, and I know that we were both noticing this a little bit before, but at least for me personally, and then Vicky can speak on hers, was I noticed that my knees are getting terrible during the runs.
They are shot.
And I'm sure it's normal. Running on concrete a lot is really hard on your knees and your joints and your body.
Yeah. But
that's part of the training. But we had a good little talk about it, and we did a little research individually and together and all that about how to prevent that kind of stuff and how to make things feel better without literally getting shin splints and breaking your body over running. Because you got to keep your body up and stay healthy if you want to keep getting stronger. And we're just in the beginning, so we got to get over this little hump. But just doing some stretches, some dynamic warm-ups, and ensuring that we're activating whatever muscles and joints and whatever that is bothering us and whatnot to ensure we have a safe run route. And I think Vicky has a little bit different of a story here.
Yeah. But before I go into actually what I've been kind of struggling with, the body part that I'm struggling with on my runs, is to give some context on our PR. Our previous PR, which I think was the week before, we hit 4.65-ish miles, which was actually, again, surpassing our goal of, I think it was 4.5. So really, we almost ran a full mile more in a week, which is pretty crazy. And Sydney was saying our solid goal for our last run was 5 miles, but then we had a loose goal of possibly hitting 5.25, and then we literally hit 5.5. So it's crazy. And I'm just so proud of ourselves. And she was saying it doesn't seem like that much. I know, at least when I was more quote unquote average with my perspective on running, that would have been a lot. So I know that that's literally huge. But it's funny though, when you get in the thick of running, all those numbers just don't hit as much. Our 10 miles, is the equivalent of, for a newbie, being maybe 4 miles or 2 miles or something like that. So it's just so interesting that it gets pushed up, the severity and the like intensity and like I guess the coolness and like the whoa about like 10 miles for us now is what I used to feel, or I think we used to feel when we were in the very beginning, looking at like a 1.5 or 2 or 3 miles. And it's just crazy that we've like hit that. But yeah, so I've been struggling with my hip, my left hip specifically. It usually would hit around like 1.5 miles, 2 miles, which was kind of unfortunate, but for some reason I have been able to like figure out a way to run more on my right side, if that makes sense, to like put less strain on it. But I was getting worried about that, and I was like, how am I supposed to like literally deal with that? And so I looked at some exercises, and resistance training really helps a lot. It really builds the muscles around that tendon or that ligament, whatever is going on wherever it is for you. So I highly recommend doing resistance training because after I had done a couple exercises, which one, I didn't even actually look completely online. I kind of just guessed. I was like, okay, it's using these muscles. It's in this vicinity. I started just doing some resistance training that I kind of made up, and it really made a difference the next time I went on a run. So if you're ever dealing with any like lower body pain or whatever, I highly recommend searching up or just, trying some resistance training, weightlifting too, and then eating a lot of protein so that, the protein goes and kind of hits those areas.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's always important to think about your recovery as much as pushing through any workout or kind of anything you do, but specifically in fitness, if you're going to the gym, weightlifting, and something hurts, just know that, when your body is telling you something, it's telling you something for a reason. So as much as every once in a while saying, push through it, especially with running, I feel like you can push through things maybe a little bit more because it's just body weight and you're not really using heavy stuff, and you're just on a road running or on a treadmill or on a track, wherever you're running. So it's easier to push, I think, a little bit, at least in my opinion, running, but always just keep in mind, especially weightlifting. I'm sure people that are used to weightlifting know, but just as like a friendly reminder that like it's okay to, take a break every once in a while, or try and like take a break and do some research on how to get your body healthier so that you can keep getting faster and stronger and whatnot. But I did want to add, kind of segueing into like diet kind of thing, was Vicky was mentioning getting a lot of protein in, which is always important, whether you're weightlifting, even just in your day-to-day life. Like, honestly, if you're just going for one walk a day, or if you're whatever, like eating a lot of protein is like super important, because not only does it fuel your body, but it fuels your muscles. And I feel like a lot of people sometimes fear that too much protein makes you bigger, or it's bulking, which in a sense could be true if you're obviously like overeating a little bit, and you're in a bulk or whatever. But I think that protein in general is super important in helping your muscles grow. And sometimes that doesn't always mean, getting these giant muscles and whatever. It just makes your legs stronger for running, and it makes your legs stronger when you're running up hills, so you can push a little more than whatever. But in terms of diet, I wanted to share too that I actually, the last like week, I think it is, not even, maybe the last 4 days, I have been, scrolling through TikTok so much and, brain dead by it. But
not the brain rot hitting.
But I just came across like so many people trying the animal-based diet. And I know it's for some reason really popular right now.
Wait, what is it?
Animal-based.
Yeah.
So it's also known as the carnivore diet, but it sounds a little more attractive to say animal-based. But the only thing animal-based is, and there's some parts I agree with it and some parts I don't, which I'll kind of get into, but animal-based is pretty much like everything should be grass-fed, everything should be raw, everything should be like not necessarily organic, like it doesn't have to be all the organic stuff, but it's supposed to be like protein, dairy, and fruits as like your carbs. So you actually, it's a little bit more fats than you're used to, because there's a lot more fats in like, the higher meats and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, it's mainly prebiotic stuff. It's grass-fed stuff. When you get milk, you're supposed to get like raw milk or whole milk or whatever. if you get cheese, you're supposed to get raw cheese, not just like, you know, regular old cheddar cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not personally doing it that strict. Like, I'm not like restricting anything for myself or anything, but the idea of it is to kind of cut out carbs, but not completely. You're actually using your carbs as, you're eating fruit as your carbs is kind of the gist. And you get kind of like natural sugar from it. So anyway, I've been trying it for a while. I've kind of done a lot of research on it, at least in the last 4 days. But the only thing I really like about it is that you get a lot of protein in, because the main source of like your food is supposed to be protein, because you're not really having carbs and you're not really having a whole lot of like leafy greens, which personally, that's one of the things I don't really agree with in a sense. Like, it's, at least in the chart that I was reading and whatever and doing research, it said like you're not really supposed to have leafy greens or broccoli and that kind of stuff. Not that it's bad for you, but it's just like this diet, you're not supposed to. And I like kind of was following it, and then I thought to myself, like, I don't think it'll really do any harm to have broccoli. Like, I like broccoli and I like eating vegetables because it makes me feel like I'm getting some good like fiber and some good vegetables in my body. So I'm kind of doing it modified in a way. Like, I'm not following it strict, but, and I also don't think that my body responds well to like raw dairy, so I'm not really doing dairy either. I don't drink milk anyway. I just kind of wanted to share that. Not that it's a big change, I just wanted to share it because I kind of started a new diet, but it's, if I'm being quite honest, it's literally the exact same thing I was eating before, just not having like rice or rice cakes, which is really not that big of a deal. So I don't know how long I'll really be doing it, but I just wanted to share it with you guys because I know she mentioned protein, and that's a good way to get protein in. But in all honesty, if you're focusing on diet, I really wouldn't follow like a strict diet, even something like this, because it kind of puts a lot of pressure on it. But I don't know, it was just something I wanted to try. But I don't know.
I was gonna say, I don't think we really support the idea of like restricting to the point where it's like super unhealthy or super obsessive. I think it's very much just like a common sense. Like, don't overeat too many sugary things. Honestly, don't even overeat. Like, eat your 3 meals a day with some snacks. And if you're working out at least 30 minutes a day to 2 hours, like, I think you know, that's the common sense thing to do to take care of your body. So I love that you're trying out this new diet, which is mainly just you cutting out maybe like the more hardcore carbs. But yeah, like for anybody out there who keeps, you know, crash dieting, we're not, or at least I'm not supporters of that. Like, it's unsustainable, it's unreasonable, there's no need to. Like, our bodies are supposed to, you know, eat a variety of different foods from all the different food groups. So don't deny yourself pasta and stuff like that. Like, you're supposed to eat carbs and you're supposed to have sugars. It's more just having everything in moderation. Personally, I mean, I haven't been super great about it, but like personally, I don't eat sugar. I know we literally had boba today, so that's like an exception, but like as a whole, I don't eat sugar, and that has been really great. So for anybody out there who's, let's say, not sleeping very well or not waking up or has no energy or whatever, try cutting out sugar for literally just a week or something like that. You know, not to the extent where it's like you're cutting out carbs and you're cutting out everything, but just, you know, limiting maybe your sugar intake or whatever. So, I know I literally just said that we're not about restricting, but I don't think that's really quote unquote restricting. Like, I'm not to the point where it's like you have to eat 800 calories a day and like run for 4 miles or whatever. Like, no, like we want to be healthy and treat our bodies with respect, but also we want to fuel it with the right things. So I love that you have your diet. I personally am obsessed with my overnight oats. I'm not going to lie. That is something I pretty much stick to. I don't eat it actually every single day, but quite often, at least for run days. So, also maybe we can talk a little bit about our new running schedule that we're like brainstorming. So I don't really remember if we kind of broke this down for you guys before, but in short, our Mondays are like literally early in the morning because she has work and I have school. Monday mornings early, literally 5:30, we're like outside my house practically. We are running long distance. So we have our long runs Monday morning. And like we just said, we hit 5.5 last time. So hopefully we can hit maybe 6 or 5.75 or whatever next time. And then Tuesday comes around, at least I weightlift. I think she weightlifts maybe every day or something. But mainly it's on and off running and then weightlifting. And so then Wednesday we have our endurance runs, which are building our endurance. And so we go uphill. It's very hilly. Last time I didn't do too great, so I'm sorry about that. It's a brutal run. Yeah, literally. And then Thursday, weightlift. And then Friday is kind of actually a rest day. We've been trying to do runs, but it's just, we are exhausted by the week by the time Friday comes around. Then Saturday mornings are our run club. And then Sunday's chill, rest day. Maybe some stretching or light things to get us ready for the next Monday. But we're starting to run into a problem where our Mondays are, we're increasing our distance, and so we're increasing our time. And it's going to start cutting into our regular getting ready for school and work time. So we're trying to strategize and figure out a plan on what to do with that, because I still really want to do our long runs. And I don't really want to break it up or whatever, like do 4 miles in the morning, 4 miles in the evening or whatever. So we're probably going to try, before our run club, run our long runs on Saturday mornings. And then what did we think we might do for Monday then instead? Like a regular?
We were kind of thinking,
light run.
I don't know, we were kind of brainstorming all ideas, but it was either going to be more of a lighter distance, like a medium distance day was kind of my thought. And then, or our other thought was we could try and match the same, or at least at some point, we could try and match the same distance. Without putting too much pressure, but maybe try and run faster, or even run, if we run 6 miles on Saturday or Monday or whatever, and then the next time when we run, we could try and run 4 miles, but a quicker pace than our 6 miles. I don't know. I just thought like it would be good because we have a really good pace kind of together. Yeah. I know we talked about that before.
It's looking perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
I do too. But I think it's good to keep training a little bit of our pace, not because I think between me and Vicky, or Vicky and I both, we both don't really focus on the like time wise and the pace. Like we don't really care about that kind of stuff. For being honest, at least not yet in our running career. We care more just about like getting our distance, getting it done. Feeling accomplished distance wise. But I think naturally, in a way, I think, at least for me, I'll start to low-key get a little competitive about it. Like, not between us. I'm saying, like...
She's the one who pushes us.
As a person, I just feel like, at some point, I'm going to be like, I really want us to run, like...
fast.
This 4 miles, but, like, faster than last time. Like, I'm not saying let's sprint it and, like, kill ourselves. But I just think at some point... I don't think I'm there yet, because I do really like our pace, and I love the pace that we're going at. Like,
it's
growing.
Really nice. Yeah.
But even like on this last Wednesday, we were running our, endurance day. So we're running up hills, and it was brutal. And me and Vicky and I,
I don't care.
Both really tired in the morning, and we're like, oh my God, we don't want to do this, but we did it. We got it done. But at towards the end, I started to run a little bit faster, and we were kind of going up the last part of the uphill on the way back.
Which is a brutal uphill, by the way.
It is. Like, and it's long. Like the whole way back is pretty much uphill. It's like a slight uphill with like a couple steep uphills. I don't know, it's weird, but
and it's like half a mile worth or something. It's really brutal.
It's literally the whole way back is uphill except for the last like 30 seconds.
True.
Which is great, but it's brutal.
It's really brutal.
Especially to finish. So anyway, I started running a little bit faster just because I kind of was locked in and my music was going, and you get that kind of runner's high. So I kind of, picked up my speed a little bit. Like I didn't dust Vicky, but I was like, I'm going to pick it up a little bit. But I kept looking over my shoulder, and then all of a sudden at some point, like I have both headphones in, at some point I looked back and like Vicky she had stopped just because I think she like felt really faint, I think, right? So anyway, we stopped and we walked with her in a minute or for a minute we walked and then jogged the way back. But back to the whole point was I think that, our times don't really matter, but I think it'd be great that if we worked, maybe even if we switched to Saturdays, I think it'd be great to work a little bit more on Mondays if we had the time or made the switch to work on time a little bit. But I also think it would be more of just like a medium distance day.
Well, I think this is so great because now I'm starting to realize Saturdays are going to be our long run days. Mondays are going to be our pace days. And then Wednesday are going to be our endurance days. So it's like we're going to hit everything. Right. And I'm really excited for it. I'm not going to lie. And also that's perfect because then it's literally still every other day and we still have Friday off. So maybe we can do, light recovery stuff like yoga and Pilates, like just stretching or whatever. So I'm really excited. But I was also going to say, like, definitely in our duo, I think I push us distance-wise I'm like, let's keep, pushing that distance, which is literally what happened last Monday, because we hit the 5 and we were, on the trail back. But then we also, on our trail, if you will, we could either keep going, take a right, or if you will, we can take that left and just head back to our starting point.
Mystery location, though.
Yeah, mystery location. You guys aren't going to know. Sorry. It's on our Strava, but I'm going to keep my Strava private. So we could either go left and go back because we already hit our goal, or we could have hit that right. And I was very much like, come on, girl, let's keep going. So we hit the right. We did a whole new loop somewhere, and then we headed back, and that's what allowed us to do the 5.5. And then she's on it for pace and wanting to kind of go faster. So that's why Loki was dying on Wednesday. So I'm sorry about that. I was really trying to pull through, and I don't know what the frick happened, but I was just like, wait, it's not hitting. And I honestly felt like I was going slower and backwards, in a dream. It was so weird. Maybe it's because it's pitch black out there. I'm exhausted. It's 6:30, 6 a.m., whatever.
Right.
And then we were both exhausted from that one. I had a huge midterm the day before, so I was just pooped.
Right.
So I know I'm kind of the one that, I don't know, kind of keeps us behind sometimes.
No, not at all.
But I love that I'm more the one who's trying to push us for distance. I don't know. Distance for me is the most important, because it literally is that's the amount of ground we covered. But I know for her, it's really picking up speed and building our pace. So
in some sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also good because I think just quickly was just remember that failure is growth, for anybody, right? No matter what you do, if you fail, you're learning something. You're learning something about yourself. You're learning something about your pace. You're learning something about somebody else. Failure is always growth, and it's hard to see it like that in the beginning. But then as you reflect, it's actually, in a way, it's good to fail. And I know we talked about that a lot, I think in the first or second episode, but just always keep that in mind. It's good to fail because that means you're pushing yourself to a point that now you can grow from it. You're not just doing the same route, the same exact pace, the same exact music. It's literally, when everything changes, the more and more you grow, the more you grow as a person, and the more you grow as a runner too. So failure always means growth. Just remember that.
I know. So I'm really, every time we do fail, I do kind of at least when I fail, I'm sorry. It's always hard in the thick of it, and nobody likes to fail. But it's always such a learning moment, because I'm like, oh, okay, I know that if I'm exhausted, I can't go past this, or at least I can't go this fast.
Right.
But I now am super pumped for the next time we have our endurance run to try and go fast, to keep up at that pace that she was kind of setting for us, but past that point where I started to stop, which I was so upset about, because it was right before the hump, and I was trying so hard, and by the middle of the hill, I was like, oof, okay, this is really a struggle, when it usually isn't. I'm usually good. But honestly, I didn't even really realize the pace that we were going at. I was like, wait, okay, are we really going that much faster or whatever? But apparently we were. So I was like, wait, why am I dying today? I've been able to smoke this every single time. So it really was the pace. But so it was the middle point, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And then literally the last 0.1 miles until the hump, I just kind of broke down, and I was so pissed and so frustrated, but it is what it is. And I needed to do that because I was my vision was starting to go, which is so weird. I don't know why I have that reaction. I never had that before, but I guess going fast literally does that. But anywho, so that's a little update for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have listened this far, was there anything else you wanted to mention?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to close this off?
Yeah. Okay, are we ready? Go Spark, get outside, and fart.